Welcome to The Movement, the podcast where we celebrate 165 years of impact and look ahead to 165 years of empowering our community with the YMCA of Greater Kansas City. Join us as we share remarkable stories from individuals whose lives have been transformed by the Y across the Kansas City metro. From members and volunteers to community leaders and associates, their journeys inspire us to keep moving forward and making a difference. Get ready to be inspired by The Movement. 165 years of impact, 165 years ahead. Let's go. Welcome back to The Movement, podcast of the YMCA of Greater Kansas City, where we share stories of impact, the community, and the people who bring our mission to life. Our conversation today is about food security and insecurity, and I'm joined by Elizabeth Keever, the Chief Resource Officer at Harvesters, and Jim Hawkins, a volunteer extraordinaire, as I understand. We're going to hear a little more about that today. A donor and a YMCA Spirit of Service honoree that we'll talk about as well. So today we're at the Providence Ball Family YMCA in Kansas City, Kansas. This has been the cornerstone of the community since it's opened its doors in 2006. It was built as part of a promise made in 2000 when the YMCA of Kansas City, Kansas became part of the YMCA of Greater Kansas City. The promise was replacing the former State Avenue YMCA with a new YMCA to serve the people of Western Wyandotte County, and here we are today. So Elizabeth, Jim, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Welcome.
Walking around the pantry, we've got some shots here. We're sitting in the pantry. It's about to go live a little bit later today, and exciting to see what a buzz when all this happens. It's just it's ready to go and looks great, and we'll talk a little bit about the energy and how the community can take part in this today. So, Jim, I'm going to start right with you. We're going to get into this thing fast today. You've been involved with the YMCA for quite some time. What's the background, and how'd you end up volunteering at the Y?
Well, I was a volunteer down at the State Avenue Y.
Woo!
And we moved out here in 1979, and we were so happy when the Y decided to expand out to us Western Wyandotte Countyans.
Led you right into that story, didn't I?
Yes, you did. So I had played racquetball downtown. We didn't have racquetball out here, so we decided we needed to get some pickleball going.
Amen.
So a couple of us volunteers started that, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 8 or 10.
Yeah.
Then the former director came and said, we need to have some food distribution out of the Y. And we've been here in Kansas City long enough to know there was a need for that. And so the other volunteer, Mary, and I said we'd be glad to help. And we thought that would probably be all the volunteers we needed. But boy, I bet we have 25 or 30 now, and it's a great experience, a fun time.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Elizabeth, what's your connection to the Kansas City, Kansas community? You have a connection?
Yeah. So I've been working in the region for quite some time, and I've had a kind of a career in food insecurity and working in this region. And so before my time at Harvesters, I led one of our redistribution organization that did very much the work that you're doing here today. And we were an agency that not only distributed to partner agencies, but also were a direct service pantry where people could shop. So I know that there is an incredible impact on pantries and spaces like this and the communities that they serve. And you should be so proud to have such a welcoming and open food pantry here. Yeah,
volunteering, it's a core, Jim, it's a core. It's how the Y began. I mean, I've said this in the past many times, but the YMCA of Greater Kansas City, we're celebrating 165 years. And for the first literally 32 years of this organization, there wasn't a paid staff. It was driven by volunteers for the first 32 years. So, volunteering, obviously, why do you volunteer and why do you keep coming back?
Well, I got addicted to this food pantry. The shoppers that come in every time we're open, they become friends, don't always know their names. And I don't think they know my name, but we recognize each other. And that's the camaraderie that's developed between the shoppers and the volunteers has been really good. In fact, some of the shoppers have taken the products here, they've taken it home, and they've baked cookies and they've baked banana bread and they've brought it back to the Y and displayed it here and let people help themselves. So it's just kind of a fun family that's developed out of this food pantry.
Yeah, what a grassroots effort there, right?
Yeah.
Elizabeth, how about Harvest has been a trusted community partner fighting hunger for decades.
Yeah.
For those that aren't familiar with Harvester's background, can you give us the story?
Yeah, so we've been an organization since the 1970s, and really Harvesters was founded out of this need that was starting to pop up across the country. The food banking network was really created because there were so many different entities, whether they were grocery stores or food manufacturers, that had donations, but all of the agencies that did direct service didn't need the volume that they were donating. For example, if one meat processor has an entire pallet of chicken, it obviously couldn't fit in these refrigerators right here. So food banks were really created to help warehouse, intake all of the donated food product and make sure it gets distributed out to our agencies. So ever since then, Harvesters has grown. We now serve 27 counties in northeastern
Amazing.
Kansas and
Wow.
northwestern Missouri. And we're really proud to work with over 900 organizations to do this incredible work. And to the testament of your volunteerism, we couldn't do what we do without volunteers as an organization. Last year, just at our locations, our volunteers helped us save 87 people as full-time employees because of volunteerism. And that's just at our 2 locations, not including all of the volunteer work that happens at our pantry, at the pantries, at the mobiles. So we couldn't do what we do without volunteers like you. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Elizabeth, what about the partnership with the Y in general? Digging back a little bit, tell us a little bit how it started, and maybe even if you've got data on when it showed up here at Providence.
Yeah, the Y is one of our longest standing partners. You're practically one of the very first partner organizations that we ever had. And in fact, the very first pantry that we ever partnered with you all in is your Linwood YMCA that started in 1981.
Amazing.
And it has really grown since then. This pantry right here started in 2022. And just so you can kind of get the idea of the impact of what this location just since 2022 has done, you've distributed over 350,000 pounds of food, serving several hundred people a month. And that is remarkable. So times that by all of the partnerships that we have with YMCAs across the region, the impact is truly profound.
Makes me smile. Give me a little smile in my heart too that we're able to help that out. What do you think makes it so successful? What do you think these partnerships like this? What makes it successful? I know we talked about volunteers, right? Volunteers make that successful. It saved you from FTEs and people, right? And being able to turn it to volunteers. It's like us too, right? I mean, we don't have the capacity to do this without volunteers. So what are the things that make this distribution and being able to bring these to the community successful?
Yeah. So everything we do at Harvesters is in partnership, and we don't actually do any direct service whatsoever. We work with our partner agencies who then either recruit the volunteers to do a mobile or run the pantry. And the reason is because you all have the trusted built relationship with the community that you serve. I mean, just walking in this space today, I see people who feel in community because of the work that you all do. And that trusted relationship that you all build with your shoppers, I mean, the fact that they're bringing you baked goods is why we do what we do, because they know that in their greatest time of need, they can look to the people that they trust the most. And you all build those relationships, and we get to help you sustain them through the food that we help stock the shelves with. So it's a really beautiful partnership built in trust and compassion.
And Jim, you mentioned your connectivity this 7-8 years ago when you guys thought about the pantry and being able to distribute food. How have you seen the partnership adjust and change when you start to see Harvesters unload the trucks, and then you have all this here? What's the difference been, and how have you seen it progress over the years since you've been volunteering?
Well, it's changed quite a bit. When we first started, some of us volunteers actually went to Harvesters and loaded up our pickup trucks and brought it over here, and that has evolved now into a big semi arriving here on Monday mornings. And I think last time there was 5,000 pounds of food that was brought to us. So that's certainly one aspect that has changed. The volunteers, they've changed. They most of them have come from shoppers themselves. They've come in and
Interesting.
they've identified a need that maybe we didn't even know we had. And so they'll say, can I do that? So we have volunteers that show up early on Monday mornings to unload the truck. They bring them into the goods into us. We put them on the shelves. We have volunteers who take the bags of groceries that are often put in bags that were given to us by Nebraska Furniture Mart, and some of their staff come and volunteer. They take those groceries out to the cars for those who aren't able to do that themselves. They tear down boxes and they take them out, so all these things have evolved from just a few shelves of groceries to what we have now, plus a storage room that we have more groceries in that we can bring out. And another thing the shoppers do is they're very careful about taking things they don't need. One of my favorite jobs is to help them pick up things off of the shelf and put it into their walker or whatever they're bringing to carry their food home with. And I'll say, why don't you take some peanut butter? And they'll say, oh, we don't need that today, and I don't want to take anything I don't need. So that's greatly appreciated. And they bring us bags. We have a big box of bags from, like Walmart or the grocery store, the plastic bags that we use and reuse again. So it's just evolved in lots of different ways.
Yeah. Speaking of innovation and creativity, I mean, are there any creative, innovative approaches that Harvesters is using to address food insecurity?
Yeah.
That obviously excite you.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about some of that.
Well, I think this is, a perfect example of one of the ways that we are, our mission is to not only address food insecurity, but really tackle the root causes of food insecurity. And one of the things that we're doing is we have some really, I guess for lack of a better word, bespoke relationships where we work with organizations that are addressing the root causes of hunger. And we know that some of the key root causes of hunger are employment, transportation, and lack of access to healthcare. So we're working with organizations like federally qualified health centers to make sure that those agencies have the food that they need to, when patients are in the exam room and are talking with their provider, they have healthy and nutritious food that they can take home with them to help really address some of the root causes of hunger and some of the challenges that come with both chronic illnesses and food insecurity. People who are facing food insecurity are disproportionately more likely to have a food-related illness. And that's why I love this partnership here at the Y, is because access to physical fitness is one of the huge drivers of health. And because you're able to create a space for people to have access to physical fitness and really improve their quality of life and how they can move and be physical and really tackle some of the root causes of chronic illness, relationships like this really are a beautiful pairing in how we tackle that work and address the needs to every individual who utilizes pantries here and pantries across the network that we serve.
I was going to ask you how the Y could help. You beat me to the question.
Well,
right?
You are helping so much.
I mean, it's more than just, Jim reaching up and being able to put some, and make a decision on peanut butter, right? It's all the other things that go into this, and having a community feel, a safe place for people to go, and get this or not. And so I'm glad that, all aspects of the Y, even youth development components of this, right? The healthy living is given, but what a social impact that the Y and the partnership with Harvesters is doing. So
yeah, I mean, that youth development is a perfect example of you're helping young people have the tools that they need to be successful in employment and successful in school, and whether or not they want to go on to technical college or standard university. Those moments that you have with children in that early stage in their life makes a difference for generations and really tackles generational poverty and that means that it will bring down the numbers for us going forward. So the work that you do between physical fitness now and helping people in the long run when it comes to reducing generational poverty and challenges is paramount to us tackling hunger.
Incredible. Jim, I'm interested in your thoughts now. You've heard this difference, of were you aware of the depth of what having a pantry as you listen to Elizabeth talk about all these other, intangible or tangible factors that are happening around? How do we not just feed people, but how do we help change their lives? Is there anything that comes to your mind as you think about that?
Well, I was not aware of all of these tangible things that Elizabeth was just speaking to. One thing I want to say, we talk about the healthy aspect, but also there's some unhealthy things that we get, and that's fun too. Occasionally we'll get some ice cream, or sometimes we'll get some
treats are okay, moderation, right?
Cookies or candy. And so some of these shoppers will say, "Oh, I'm going to take this home to my grandkids because they haven't had candy for a long time."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always a little fun aspect. I don't know. I know that we have shoppers that will come in and they maybe don't even need the food themselves, but they're aware of a family across the street that maybe just recently moved in. And they may be from a different culture and they have a food shortage. And so they'll be taking groceries home to their neighbors, or a shut-in that can't get out to come here, and they'll take them home. So those are some of the interesting, fun aspects that I never expected to see when I started volunteering here.
I mean, to your point, I mean, you're right. There's no bad food, but teaching how to what's the correct amount of some unhealthy items, and how do you make access to some nice delights for, especially when you're talking about folks who are experiencing poverty, and to get something like a pint of ice cream on a kid's birthday or a birthday cake or something like that. It's really meaningful for families to be able to provide that special moment. So you're right. Not everything is always broccoli and whole grains
and peas and corn.
Yeah. Well, those are incredibly important. It is so nice to be able to have those nice, sweet surprises that are so out of reach for so many people.
What changes, Elizabeth, have you seen in the needs of families, whether it's Wyandotte County or the Kansas City Metro, in the past few years?
Yeah. So unfortunately, that is not a great. It's not a great story, to be perfectly frank. A lot of people really were expecting that over the past decade, the COVID-19 pandemic would have been the peak of food insecurity in the region. And actually, right here today, food insecurity is higher than it's been in a decade. In our region, it went from having 1 in 8 individuals facing food insecurity to now 1 in 7. And for children, it's actually a lot worse. It's 1 in 6 kids. So right here in Wyandotte County, we have 26,000 folks who are experiencing food insecurity. And across the 27 counties that we serve, we have over 374,000 folks experiencing food insecurity. So the food insecurity rate here in Wyandotte is about 16%. So when you really look around a room and you think about what 16% is, it's very high. And unfortunately, that is because of so many compounding factors. You've got food prices that are still up over 20% over the past 4 years. You've got housing that is a huge challenge for so many people that we serve. Transportation costs, overall, the cost of living is higher for so many people. And with there being some reductions and programmatic support, we've really seen food insecurity climb. And we anticipate to see a similar rate, an increase in food insecurity over the next year as well.
And so you have these little pockets of hope around, right? And I do truly believe it does inspire hope. And as the CEO of the Y, I'm so proud of the organization and our partnership that we're doing hopefully our part. Right. I feel like we are. I shouldn't say hopefully, but I know we are. I wish there was ways that we could figure out how to do more. What moments really stay with you when you're helping families, Jim?
The ones that when we first started, we decided we would let those who had walkers and canes and any kind of assistive device come first. And we have so many that can hardly walk back from the door to the pantry. And I guess that surprised me, that not that they needed food, but they were strong enough, willing to come from their homes. Some of them use public transportation to come. Yeah. Some of the neighbors bring them, but just how much trouble they went through to come to get something that they really needed. And that made a big impression on me. And I've already spoke to the other issue that I was impressed with. I was afraid that maybe we'd see people just taking food and hoarding it.
Yeah.
But we don't really limit it. We do some. We say maybe you can take one of these items if there's not a whole lot. But it seems like most of the shoppers legitimately take only what they need or what their neighbors need. I was very pleased to see that.
So maybe a question for both of you here. Start with Elizabeth. Asking for food assistance is probably hard.
Yeah.
How do you work with a pantry or partners to make it feeling welcoming and dignified?
That's a great question. You're absolutely right. There's an incredible stigma when it comes to facing food insecurity. I mean, so many folks, especially one of the groups that I really think about as a growing number of folks who are experiencing food insecurity are seniors who have worked their entire life. They're on a fixed income, but because of rising costs of everything from housing to food, they're facing food insecurity and needing help for the very first time in their life. And it's really challenging when someone has been so incredibly self-sufficient and hardworking their entire lives and are needing food assistance for the first time. Another community I think about are veterans who are experiencing food insecurity and serving our country and now not being able to serve themselves dinner
or their family.
And the best way that we can continue to bring down the stigma is to talk about it and let people know how prevalent it is in the area that you all serve, that we serve. When you think about 1 in 7 people in the communities that we live in are facing food insecurity, there shouldn't be a stigma. I mean, that's just as statistically significant as a hair color or an eye color or whatever that is. So why is something that is so prevalent so stigmatized? So continuing to talk about how many people are facing food insecurity and really bringing to the surface this issue. But I think really, truly, when you talk about how to reduce the stigma, it's the work that you two do. It's the work that you do as an organization to build trusted relationships with folks that make them feel safe and welcome. And it's volunteers like you that greet them with the most welcoming and caring sense that you are, down stacking potatoes because it's a household that's a little bit smaller and they can't handle a big box. I mean, that care and attention that you give to each and every shopper is deeply meaningful. And because you take so much time and loving care with them, they know that they're in a space that they're not judged. So I think truly you are the ones that are doing the work.
Jim, you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know what our statistics here are at our pantry in terms of age, but I think you're right on there, Elizabeth, in terms of seniors. I would imagine that our average age is probably 60 or higher. As I alluded to earlier, they come in with their walkers and their canes and their crutches. they're not all over. We have young families with children. Sometimes they bring their children with them, and they look for the sweet things and try to get mommy to go over that way. But I don't feel the stigma. It probably is there. But what I do see is shoppers bringing their neighbors, bringing their friends, and our volume of shoppers has increased. I don't think we've done any advertising as such, but it's just word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it may be difficult for them to come the first time, but if they can come with a neighbor or a friend, I think that makes it a lot easier.
And I bet that is similar how you get people who come to the gym because
Yeah.
someone brings a friend.
Yeah.
And that's what happens here in spaces like that you build one trusted relationship. That person tells the next person about that trusted relationship. And all of a sudden you have a community here. And so that's what you all have done.
Yeah, I think it's unique. And I think I've mentioned the 3 pillars of the Y, right? Youth development, healthy living, social responsibility. And I think the Y really is that third place, that center of community where things like this happen. And that does get spread out like wildfire into the community. So kudos to the volunteer and the volunteer experience. Jim, you've been a YMCA Spirit of Service honoree, which is something that honors our greatest volunteers. We do it annually. I know last year you were one of those. Got an excited group back here in the gym, so we're excited here that we're doing this live. See, we are live. This is not in studio. You've given these countless hours, right? You've done some great work volunteering for the Y. Is there a particular moment that made you realize, this was your cause to champion?
Well, I think it goes way back to my father. He was a real active participant and volunteer YMCA down in Emporia, Kansas.
Amazing.
And he didn't get married till he was 46 years old, and I think he was too busy at the Y to find time to court. But he made up some fast time. But he played handball in Emporia, and as a kid growing up in Emporia, the high school was right across the street from the Y, and so we used the Y swimming pool for our classes in high school and junior high. So I kind of grew up in the Y in Emporia and came up here and thought, that's just a good organization. My dad liked it. He was involved, and I always liked the word Christian, Young Men's Christian Association, not necessarily so much the men, but so that was a draw for me too. And the fact that now we live like with the 2 blocks of the Y, it really makes it handy for my wife and I to come over and volunteer.
Yeah, the name of the podcast is The Movement, specifically for a reason, because we are a movement. We ebb and flow with the needs of the community. And I think, we're no longer young because we're 165, at least here in Kansas City. We're not just men anymore. That changed a lot back in the 50s and the 60s. And we're not just Christian. We're inclusive, right? We're open for all. I mean, for all is it's a powerful statement,
Absolutely.
Right? But we're still an association, so we're still doing great stuff. I appreciate that. I love when these stories come out. People just have these legacy moments that come out in the podcast about the connectivity to the Y. That's generational, and it's great to see that continues for you, Jim, from what you learned from your father.
One of the things that I just always love, no matter what pantry that you're working in, is that you see these friendships that get built out of volunteers. It's, as adults, it's hard to make new friends and build new relationships. And I see time and time again in our partner agencies, true, beautiful friendships between volunteers that they make a whole day out of it. They come volunteer, they go get lunch. And the organization that I ran before, it was a group of women who all did Zumba together in the morning and then all came after Zumba and volunteered together. So there is such beautiful friendships that are built through volunteerism. And I just think that that's so rewarding of an experience. And it sounds like has really happened for you as well.
Exactly, because now at the age of 76, I'm playing pickleball with other parents that were at the swim pool early in the morning with their kids and our kids, and we've remained friends over all those years, and now we've graduated to pickleball.
I love that.
I do too, and I love pickleball. That's a great one. People they think of the Y and they think of treadmills, gyms, swimming pools, and that's okay,
Yeah.
right? That's okay. But I think Providence here and many of our Kansas City YMCA's are showing the Y is so much more, and that truly meeting needs like hunger and social impact programs that we have are there. So, you have an opportunity right now to speak to those that are watching, listening. What if they're hesitant to volunteer or donate? What would you tell them, Jim?
Say, no reason to be hesitant. If you have some extra time, or even if you don't have extra time, make time, because it's just a really rewarding thing to do, is to be a volunteer and come over and stick your toe in the water and we'll push you on in and baptize you.
Anything to add to that, Elizabeth?
I always think about, I won't say the whole quote, but essentially it's, don't be daunted by the world's grief and all the challenges in the world. Do humbly now. And we can't solve hunger right here, but we can feed a neighbor. We can feed a family who didn't otherwise have dinner for tonight. And it might feel really overwhelming on where to start, and you might feel pressured by the need. But when you walk into spaces like this, when you donate food, you do make an impact. And that donated item can have real impact in how it changes the trajectory of a family. Being greeted with a smiling face at a pantry can change the trajectory of a family's willingness to ask for help. And I just would encourage that person to really look inside and say, give it a shot, do humbly now, and don't try to tackle the world's problems. Just feed one person.
And look for opportunities that you enjoy. You don't want to volunteer something you don't like to do. You won't do it very long. There's lots of those opportunities, I think.
There's so many opportunities, and I know that you all have opportunities. If you go to Harvesters' website, we have volunteer opportunities at our location and at our partner organization's location as well. And one thing I just want to add is, one of the things that has been really fascinating to me recently is there's a lot of studies about just such an increase in loneliness and
social isolation.
Social isolation is real. And more people every single day are spending more and more time at home. And there are so many things that have been conditioned since the pandemic. And, also there's been high rates of depression and mental illness, and just what an impact volunteerism has, not only on the community that you serve, but to serve yourself, to serve your mental health, and to build community is really powerful. So if you're someone who is struggling with feeling lonely, give volunteerism a try.
Amen.
It'll change your world.
Amen. Amen. Elizabeth, I'm going to let you dream big here. What would the food security landscape in Kansas City, Kansas look like in 5 years?
Man, that's a great question. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am hopeful that we will be able to do everything we can to address the challenges that are facing our neighbors in the region. But one of the things that has happened recently is we've seen one of the biggest cuts to food nutrition programs that has ever happened in the history of the SNAP, otherwise known as food stamp program. And just to kind of paint a picture of what this challenge really means to our neighbors is, for every one meal that Harvesters provides, SNAP provides 9. So the reduction in the program that we saw recently means that millions and millions of meals will be taken off the tables of families in our region. So we have a huge challenge ahead of us to try to reduce the impact of those cuts. And that's going to take partnerships like this. It's going to take innovative approaches to addressing hunger and the root causes of it. And really, for the next 5 years, we need to do everything we can to mitigate those challenges and address the root cause so that we can continue to make progress on this food insecurity rate that is at a 10-year high. So I wish I could say that I felt like it was a little bit rosier than it is, but we have truly a once in a generational challenge right now that we're going to have to bring all hands on deck to approach.
Roll up our sleeves, folks.
Yep, exactly.
Well, great conversation today. It's so blessed to have you both here today. And YMCA family, that's Elizabeth Keever and Jim Hawkins. Thank you so much for being on the movement today and your time, obviously your energy, and your dedication, not only to Kansas City, Kansas, but the Y, but the overall community. The work you are doing truly inspires.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Providence YMCA hosts food distribution on the 2nd and 4th Mondays and Thursdays following those Mondays. Plus, there's a large monthly drive with our Kansas City, Kansas Community College partners and harvesters on the 4th Fridays. Volunteers like Jim and those from other organizations make it all possible, and we'd love to see you join us out there. So together, we're not just feeding families, folks. We are nourishing hope and dignity and community. Stay motivated, stay connected, and keep moving forward with us in the movement. Together, we're building a stronger community, one story and one volunteer at a time. Thanks for spending time with us on the movement. Visit kansascitymca.org for more information and follow the YMCA of Greater Kansas City on social media. 165 years of impact, 165 years ahead. Let's go.